Here we are. Good morning. I've had about an hour's sleep. It's early Saturday morning here, Saturday the 17th of April 2021, and we're here for a round 3 match in this year's Virtual 9-Ball World Championships between REELPOLANDPOWER, Stub as we'll call him for the rest of the stream, and Interchangex. Now Interchangex had a bye in the first round, his opponent forfeited, and in his second round match, Interchangex has come through a final rack decider against Mooncake, which has taken him through to this third round tie with Stub, who's had two very quick matches. His first round match against Quagmire was 19 racks to 2, which was in 45 minutes, and then his second round match was against Tornado Tam, and he blitzed Tornado Tam 19 racks to 3. Now the big difference tonight is that he's up against a 9-ball player, and this is going to be Stub's first big test, or at least it should be, against Interchangex, who is a 9-baller. And we wait and see what the outcome's going to be, if Interchangex is going to give him a match and whether I'm going to stay awake. But the match is the first of at least 4 matches this Saturday today. The next one is at 12 noon. I can't remember who it is. I don't care who it is, and I'm not bothering to look to see who it is because it's way too late. I was out like a light a matter of minutes ago, and my alarm has got me up, and I was in the middle of what was about to be a very deep sleep for a good number of hours, but I am here. With the greatest respect to both players, I hope this is over quick, because I'm desperate to get back to bed. But we wait on the room going up. The cloth colour should be set to the blue that I prefer, and we should be good to go. Both players are certainly here. Interchangex has been in practicing for, well, he was there when I came in, so and Stub was here a few minutes ago, and he's in getting a quick warm up, I presume, and we're all set. Good morning, Hazad. I am struggling. I am here, and I'm hoping to stay awake, and hoping that this match gives me something to stay awake for. We're about a minute or so away from the start time. There's Keith. Good morning, Keith. Larry's arrived in the lobby. I don't know whether I'm going to stay awake, but I'm trying my best. I mean, there's nothing worse than putting your head down and setting your alarm for it. I think I've had about 70 odd minutes sleep. There's nothing worse than being totally out like a light and then the alarm waking you up, and then you realise why you've set the alarm, and you've got to come back in. Oh, this is I'm just desperate to get this over with, because I know that the rest of the day is going to be busy, because I've got to get back to bed, and then I've got to and I'm trying to remember what the snooker's on. That's what I have to remember. Yeah, the World Snooker Championship starts at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and I've got to get up for that, and then I've got matches all day in the Virtual 9-Ball World Championship, so I've got that to look forward to. The room's up. one player's in, I'm getting in quick. Stubbs in, he's keen to go. And that's going to be a scratch. No, it isn't. So both players are here. Race to 19 on the winner's side. And that, I think, Stubb, I haven't a clue. Rotor Monkey told me earlier on tonight how to know who was lagging, and I've forgotten what he said. But anyway, Stubbs won the lag. And a ball straight away in the break. Albanario's now at the top of the top 10 leaderboard for racks running total in his match tonight against Jose. He won 13-1, I think it was. Very strong. And he's only lost one rack in his last two matches, 13-0 and 13-1. And he's now at the top. And Stubb, his goal is also to try and improve. Well, he's missed a straight in two and he's scratched. And that's a total disaster. I don't know what he was trying there. But it's given Interchangex ball in hand, and these opportunities have to go. And this is the difference that Stubb is now against his first test of the tournament. And that could have been played better, but the line he had wasn't that great. And it is going to be a test for Interchangex, this cut. And that is not going to get there. And the chance has come and gone, all from the shape on that first pot in the middle. And Stubbs going to get out of jail, but he's going to have to get on this 8 ball. Now, is he going to give it the big heave-ho and try and come down this? I mean, this is really a narrow window to get on this 8 ball. He's going to scratch. It's going to be ball in hand again, and that's the problem. In the space of 2 minutes, Stubbs scratched twice, and Interchangex simply got to take this out now. And so, well, you get enough chances, you're eventually going to take it out, but Interchangex can't wait on 2 chances every rack. But he's got one in the board. And, well, the biggest mistake there is he's jacking the cue up too high. That's how you end up doing that. He's got too much angle on the butt of the brake cue, and he's flown off the table. And Stubb now with ball in hand. And where the 2 is not very handy. He's going to have to, well, I don't know what he's thinking of doing here, because he can only play the thin edge on the 2-9 if he's going to try and make the combo. But he can easily run for cover, but he's played the combo. And that's all come from a silly break from Interchangex. Yeah, when you jack the cue up, I mean, I practiced a lot of that when we were doing testing in VP4 to try and get the cue ball to, you know, do that jump and kill it and stop it. And you either get it right or you don't. There doesn't seem to be an in between. And when you get it wrong, most of the times you're bouncing too high and getting off the table. And that's what Interchangex has done. And of course it's just thrown away a rack there. So we're now all square. So good evening to everybody. Good morning. The important things always in taking these limited chances you might be getting. And Stubb, I'm sure that was a push out he called there, wasn't it? I'd be sticking him back in, but the problem is, well, there's no gap there in the 5 to be able to cut that one and chip it in. I don't think it looks too narrow. And Interchangex has got the hit, but hasn't got enough in the cue ball to drop in behind the 5. So the table's here for Stubb if he wants it. I think the twos shouldn't be a problem. Just find the gap between the 3 and the 6. Just playing to kill the cue ball. Mind you, looking at it now, I'm not so convinced it's that good. He's having to jack up. He can't get to the. He can't get good, but he's now came back. Can he pot that too? Somebody, I can't see anyway at the best of time, but I don't think, I'm not convinced he can pot that too. He's having to jack up, trying to bend round. And it's going to be safe. He'll take that. So, any late arrivals, good morning, welcome. I hasten to add, I ain't going to hang around at the end of this match. I am out of here, I'm gone. We'll look at anything later on today. So Interchangex, looking for the long jump over the 3, miss the 6 and hit the 2, and he might get cover here, and that is a good end result. He'll take that as well. You just need that little bit of running. And the 8 ball's going to go in. Well, there's the evidence there to back you up, Slim. The 8 ball's been knocked in, and he's ended up on the 2. And well, he's going to have to stun this sperm to come out for the 3, but he's decided to leave it at that and play the safer shot and just run through, which is probably the right thing. He's almost ran through too far there. But he should be out if he can leave himself a half decent shot in this 5. But I mean, that's not so easy as said. But again, he's going to leave it the high cut, so it's across the table again. The biggest criticism I've gave Stubb over the years in terms of playing is that he tends to he's never been forced or felt he's had to refine that positional play. He's always played he's played where he can, he knows he can pot balls, and as far as he's concerned, that's good enough. And he still hasn't realised that it isn't good enough, because had he realised early on that there's other guys out there who have got a tighter cue ball control, he might not have been sitting 9-10 years down the line where he hasn't won one of these big events. And it's not just been bad luck. I mean, he's been close, he's been close, but when you add all these things up over a period of time, when he's fallen short, there has to be one main reason why he's fallen short, and it's been pushing the boat out with types of pots that he's having to rely on, because he can't get that cue ball on a tighter control. And that's probably the main reason why that happens, and why he's just fallen short of getting there. Players like Cobra and others have that, and I mean, you only then have to look at the stats. The stats prove that. His pot percentage is good, but sooner or later he might be found out. This is always going to be his best chance of winning one of these big events, is the 9-ball one, and he hasn't been tested yet. He's had 2 very easy matches, and of course, as the tournament goes on, it's going to get tougher. Now, as it stands now, we've got a rack that hinges on this 1 ball, and Interchangex, if he tries to push this 1 off the short rail and up the table, to try and hide in behind the 4, the biggest danger here is he might not be able to push it up the table and take a path like that. The other problem's where the 2 ball is, and he's tried to get cute. I think he was struggling for ideas there. Why not bank? I mean, why didn't he bank the 1 ball up the table and try and knock the 7 in? That's a big pocket. I mean, to not have seen that option, if you somehow find a way to get a line, even if you hit the 3, there's a strong chance of knocking the 7 in. That would have been a far better attempt there, to make something out of it, rather than in the end just failing on a safety like that. That was a weak shot, but there was a lack of idea there in how he was going to try and escape and deal with that situation, and I think he dealt with it. He had the right idea, but maybe the better idea was banking it up and down. And Stubb should be out. I mean, he's only got to worry about ending up behind something here, but there's a big area between that 9 and 8 up in the middle pocket, which is the open area that he can end up in. So this one is going to be difficult. He's dead straight in a 4, and the 5 is guarded by the 9, especially if you're at the top end of the table. So he's going to have to push this one to have a sight on this 5. And he's managed to get that cue ball out. That was a good shot, and especially at pace, because you've seen it often enough. If you don't get that line right, those pockets won't take the ball. They'll hang up. And already Stubb is going to have that little window, that gap. Well, I suppose the one thing you could say in Interchangex's favour, he's had that one match, but he has come through a tight test when it went to a final rack decider. So, you know, his nerves have been tested, but he's going to have to come up with better ideas for safeties or escapes than he did in that last rack, because it's cost him the ultimate price. It's cost him the rack at the end of the day. And there's another one when, again, the pace he's played it at, he's not looked to get distance. He's trying for accurate safeties behind the ball and hoping that one ball was going to go past the middle pocket. And that is not good enough, I'm afraid. And this doesn't affect any pressure on your opponent playing weak safeties. It just plays straight into their hands. Well, again, this is where you have to expand your horizons when you're looking for safeties. But the two safeties that Interchangex has played, well, Stubbs made a right boo-boo there, trying to get around for the 7. And this is an escape route that Interchangex wasn't expecting. But as I say, he could have played that better. I think it'd have been far better trying to push that around into the table than ending up there. Those two safeties he played were specific in that the pace he played them, he was having to get behind one specific ball, and that's no good unless you're really dialed in that cue ball control. But he's left himself awkward here. And another, well, it's off the rail. He's got a fair margin of error to help this 8 ball in, and he should be on the 9. But that was an unexpected visit back to the table for Interchangex. Stop trying to take a liberty, but my goodness me, what a miss in the 9. And that is unforgivable. You can't bottle out on 9 balls like that. And all of a sudden it's 4-1. And that will not help your cause. And what's more, Stubbs breaks working. 2 ball, 6 ball gone. Nicely on the 1. And 3 to follow. Well, Interchangex is going to be another one already early on, who's going to be the architect in his own downfall. You know, self-inflicted damage is the worst type of way to lose in any sport, when it's all down to what you're doing wrong yourself and very little that the opponent's doing. But that is just the shot of somebody when that 9 ball was missed, who is maybe showing a bit too much nerves in the situation. Now here's the thing again. This shape that Stubbs got here, he's having to pull off a cut in the 7. 9 times out of 10 he's going to get it. But it's going to be 5-1. And already it's a long way back for Interchangex, but he's going to have to shake himself down rather swiftly here if this isn't going to end in a bloodbath. So Stubbs' break comes up dry this time, and well, there is no other way to put it. The balls are there. If you're good enough, you can find your way around them, and you have to run the table trailing 5-1. The 4 ball is going to be awkward. And trying to manoeuvre that cue ball to get on the 3 is again the cause of the miss. And Stubb is going to have to run and try and finish somewhere. Well, he might come down the right side to leave a 4-9 combo, but he's trying to get into the gap. He's done his best. He'll still have the cut to go for. But this is just where he rides his luck and lets the cue ball. He has to obviously let it run. And he's nudged the 5 over the middle pocket. It's not worth waking up for if you're an Interchangex fan, because there's not really an awful lot of positivity to say about what he's done so far. It's been unimpressive, to say the least. Well, Stubb just has to get back out into the table. He ideally wants to get the cue ball just further to the right of where he is now and in the table, so he can come back off the 8, but he's going top side, which makes it simpler because he can just roll through, depending on what the angle was he actually had there, but that's the easiest way to do it, just roll through. Well, it's going to end up a disappointment if Interchangex isn't going to show us how capable he is, having coming through that last rack decider. I had the idea that it was going to be a bigger test for Stubb, and he still might be. You know, Stubbs taking liberties there, going for a 1 ball that was never really the sensible shot. The shot was to find a safety, but you know, Stubbs going to take liberties if you let him. And if he gets away with leaving the 1 ball like that, he'll continue to take liberties. Because Interchangex is now under such pressure that when he has chances like this, he's going to end up doing what Stubbs doing and having to take these things on. So the 1 does pass the 4, but it's not a shot you want to be taking on if you can help it. He's got the first part done. The trouble is ahead of him, and it's right here and now. He's got to find the gap, ideally between the 7 and the 4, so he can see enough of the 3 to be comfortable on it. He's checked it up, and he's knocked the 7 out the way. That will do. But is he going to give us a wee bit more confidence by holding? No, he isn't. Again, the stun has done it. Commentator's curse has reared its ugly head again. And Interchangex got lucky there. Left nothing on for Stubb, but Stubbs played a good safety. He's got distance. And that is why it's always good to get distance, because then you get mistakes like that. Trying to get that 3 ball, you had to get it feather thin, and if you get it any thicker than that, you're bringing it into play. And that's proof, if ever there was one, of getting just good length in the cue ball and leaving it at distance. and it creates the mistake, and Stubbs going to be all over it like a rash, and it is not looking good here for Interchangex. Well, Stubb again, you see what we're talking about, just getting out of shape and having to play recovery shots more often than not, and he will run out eventually at some point in the tournament. Wrong side of the 7, but shouldn't be any hassle. But everything that has happened so far is all unforced errors from Interchangex. The result here though is the result of a good safety by Stubb and poor execution by Interchangex in dealing with it. And it's now 7-1, and Stubbs got balls going in. We've lost the, what one's that, the 4, the 6, and he's got the cut in the 1. He's going to have to get deep draw into this, and he's held it well. Left a combo. That 2 ball is going to come off the rail, and is he going to have a shot after it though? Again, riding his luck with that, and this time it hasn't worked out, because that's something you can never guarantee. But he'll try and tuck the cue ball away here, I think, if he can get the edge of that 2. He needs to try and avoid the 8 though, and that might not be quite as simple. He might actually try and bank the 2 if he can see enough of it just to bank it. Well, he's gone for some sort of ambitious attempt there, but the 2 ball is in play. The problem is that Interchangex is going to have to force this if he wants to come down to this side, or he's going to have to play a really difficult shot in the 3, or he's going to hook himself behind the 7. Not the wisest of shots again. He had to take a liberty there, I think, to try and come on the shorter side of the 3. But he's managed to escape there. That was a good recovery shot. Now that might settle him if he can get the job done here. It's going to be another stun. And this will take him towards his 2nd rack. Now he's looking for a ball and a shot. He needs some sort of way to find a rhythm to settle himself down if he's going to get back into this match. Oh, good break. He's going to have a dodgy 1 ball, the 2 balls over the top left, but he does have a good chance here to get a run on. Well, that's the first problem out the way, and now he's got a nice angle to come around the corner on this 2 ball and just get himself a good line on the 3. He needs to make sure he goes round far enough. If anything, he can overhit this and get around and out into the table. And that brush in the 8 is fine. The 8 ball is well off the rail, so I don't think there's any immediate worry about the 8. Again, if if he wants to chicken out, he would roll this in. If he wants to play the right shot, he would play the stun like that, and he's sticking to his guns. He just has to keep that accuracy up. You know, the stun was the right shot just to send the cue ball out into the table. And now he doesn't need to do anything. He's got a nice little angle. Just pop the 8 in down the rail and he's on the 9. And that's a, well, dare I say it, it's a straight in 9. He has to get it in the hole first. But it's been a good break and run there for Interchangex. And that might settle him down if he can get the same again. And that one was a clunky break. You see how those balls sort of died. And that 2 balls on, and this, the only thing that's a slight problem is the 5, where it's hiding. But that, you know, you go from a very good break in the last rack to a break that just sort of dies in its feet. The balls didn't have any momentum in them at all to start running around and finding pockets. Stubb having to check the cue ball to avoid running into the 9. And here's the biggest problem of all, is, well, I think he's got to cut it into the middle. I mean, he could take it long. If he takes it long, he's still stunning into the rail and coming out, and he has to get into this window here, unless he's trying to drop right into the rail. But if he cuts it in the middle, he can still do the same thing and come up the table and find that gap. But he needs to come down here. He needs to come down far enough. And that is a good shot, because that wasn't a big window to get into. And he's played it well. And that's the unfortunate thing about 9-ball. You know, it's such an emphasis on the break to keep control of the table. Interchangex had one rack that went pretty nigh perfect for him. He's broken the next one and everything's died. And this is the result of it. Stubb had a shot, and he's looking at restoring his lead. That's but again, there's no coincidence that the player in the tournament who up until tonight had the most racks run and also had the most balls, you know, the highest percentage of balls on the break. He's averaging 1 a break, and that's Cobra. So he's not, and also he's got the best shot percentage. So he's not at the top for no particular reason. Cobra has got the best average for balls in a break. It is evening out at 1 at the moment. And he's the one that's also been making the most of the chances that he's been getting, and he's been pretty clinical from what we've seen so far. So Stubb has broken off. The balls are broken pretty well, and it's Stubb's turn to come up dry. Now can Interchangex return the favour? Well, this is another tricky one. He's hampered by the 8-ball. He has to try and get top side of the 4 for the same pocket here. And he's going to have to stun this firm. And he's not going to get there. He's going to leave it awkward. You know, he needed, again, with that shot there, you overhit it. If you overhit it, you go right down past the 6 and you're wide open to the 4. and he's underhit that by a mile, and again leaving it very awkward. Having to play good recovery shots all the time is not good for the nerves. But it's wide open now. It's all about the 5 ball. He's just got to focus on getting it in the pocket, and he's on the 6. Everything's going to be long though. But I think he's going to have to make sure. Again, the safest route here is just go around the angles and let it run. You've got to find that gap on the right side below this middle pocket. You've got to keep going there, because if you do that, if you keep going, for the further down to the right you go, the simpler it is just to drop the 8 in and you're on the 9. So he's got there. Now, how's his break going to be this time, and where's he breaking from? Because I've been paying no attention. He's over in the left diamond as we look. And that wasn't much better. Well, the 5 gone in, but it's pushed the cue ball in first. So another scratch the break. Ball in hand for Stubb. And he's had a look at the 3. And the 3 does go, but once again, it only goes when you're good on it. And that's going to be tough to do. It's going to be tough to get good in the 3. The gap is there. And Stubbs already got into a narrower gap in the previous rack, but the gap is there to get on the 3. And where the 2 ball is a good position if he can drop across for the 2, just to come back out into the table and find that gap. And anywhere in that area, he's going to be able to see that 3 and cut it in. Unless he tries to, he can't hug the rail. With the angle he's got to come out and find that space. Well, that wasn't the way I was thinking of going, but in the end it's worked out. The safest route was finding that gap to play the cut. He's ended up chipping the 9, knocking the 3 off the rail, and he has a shot. I don't know whether that was planned or whether it was more good luck at the end of the day. Well, we are now just on 40 minutes into this match. Stubbs got to chip this 6 in. Cue ball's going to be out into the table, and he should be home and dry once the 6 goes in. But the gap is going to stretch to 5. And it just needs an immediate response from Interchangex to keep himself in this, or it's going to run away from him. But he needs a bit of assistance already. Of course, the other side of the coin is if Stubbs' break starts working and getting a ball in like that 4. Okay, he's not landed good in the 1. And He's had a blast at it. So he's starting to loosen up and take on shots. And the main reason is he's not got any doubt in his mind. There's nothing coming back that's putting a doubt in his mind so far. But playing shots like that ends up leaving shots like this, where you're not anywhere near good on the next ball, because you're not playing anything with any sort of control, and you couldn't really with that shot in the one. But it's just a perfect example of how Stubb will try and just get out of these situations by potting it all the time. And it's a big ask. I mean, the 3 ball's not going past the 7, as far as I know. You know, so it's a big ask to try and get the cue ball into that spot to be able to play the 3. I don't know what idea he's got here. Yeah, see, that is way over ambitious. You know, to try and run that 2 ball in, but again, he's got away with it. You know, it's again, as I say as well, at some point he'll stop getting away with it, and he's going to bump into somebody who's going to take full advantage of these situations. But unfortunately for Interchangex, he's going to have to play a combo, and the 3 ball is still dead on that top rail. And he's now, I mean, there's how your luck is really not going for you when you play something and you end up leaving a 2-9 combo. I mean, it's not set perfectly, but it's not difficult to just chip that to and make sure it does cut the angle to the 9 like that. There's a sickener if ever you've seen one. You know, you're trying to play a difficult combo. The combo's not going to come off, and the 2's sitting nicely on the 9. And all of a sudden, you're 10-4 down. Well, Stubbs came up dry. Interchangex has a shot in the 1. He can't kick the 1 and make the 1-9 combo because it's nowhere near set. So it's going to have to be a genuine attempt at a run out. The 3 and 6 are going to have to be a combo which is nowhere near good. So it's the likelihood of him running this is a fair ask. And of course, where the 2 was never going to help the situation. So he needs to find a good safety here. And once again, the safety shot, we've seen 3 really poor from the lack of thought and control as to where he's putting this object ball when he's playing it. I mean, it's just straight across the table. It gives Stubb a start, and you've got to play these shots properly, and he's failed 3 times with safety shots where, let's be honest, I've got no real idea what he was overall attempting to do. It was looking as if he's trying to tuck behind a 4 on that shot. But these are shots that have to be so accurate. You know, and again, Stubb having a blast because he's been getting away with it, and the amount of poor safeties that Interchangex is playing, he has to stop that right now. And he has to take advantage of this. But again, he's left himself awkward on the 4. He's got to get this cue ball more on a string than what's happening now. He's putting too much pressure on himself, leaving all of these tough and long shots. Well, here's the major test here. Let's see what the draw would do here. This is dead straight, and he may well not finish good on this, and he's trying to pinch it, and of course what happens? Is he going to get lucky? Well, yes, he has, for once. He had to pinch, and it was always going to rattle and hang, but he's got away with one. Well, Stubb hasn't got a difficult hit on it. He's going to be hampered over the 8 to go up and down. He can certainly go up and down, avoid the 9, probably not pot the 6, but at least hit it. He's looking to go round the rails. Oh, that's a cracking shot. That is an excellent shot. That's another thing about Stubby. I mean, if he is hooked, he generally doesn't fall back on the jump cue to play. He couldn't jump that one anyway, but he knows the rails, and he does pick good lines off these diamonds. And that was an excellent shot. Cue ball running loose again. Well, it had to anyway. But he deserves this rack from that shot there. Tough one, no. And unless he hits this firmish, it's going to be a tough 9 to follow. Well, I think he's worried about the middle pocket. I don't honestly think, is he going to just hit the point? That's the thing he's worried about, that he's just going to drop into the pocket. The thing is, if he hits the point, he might just end up nowhere and have to play the bank in the 9. Sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and go for the shot, but he's worried about the scratch. I think he could get away with it. But if he's playing the right line to pot this, he might not. And that's the worry. If you look at that line, the line to pot that 8 is there. So the cue ball's looking to hit it, and he's not convinced, and he's trying to cross bank it. In the end, we'll never know. But he's almost got away with it again. That was just difficult to call whether that cue ball would stay in the table there if he'd cut that down the rail. He obviously didn't think it would, which is why he played that shot as an alternative. But this is a pressure pot for Interchangex. You're trailing by 6. You've got an awkward 8 ball. He could scratch the middle pocket off this. Well, he's digging down, and he's way off the mark on the pot. Nowhere near it. Another little tester though, but it really shouldn't be a problem, this 8 ball. The problem is the 9. And it's gone in, used all of the pocket. But it's now an awful long way back for Interchangex. And Stubb with the ball in the break. A shot in the 1. Trying to just check the cue ball and hold it for the 3. He's played that well. And plenty of room down the left hand side past the 9 and 5 to get on this 4 ball. He's got loads of room, but he's managed to go a completely different way from the way I seen it, and wanted to come down this right side to the short side of the 4. I think he was trying to obviously run through, and then he's having to do that to try and keep it going. I don't know, again, I never went down to have a look at the line that he had there, but why he couldn't work the cue ball to come down this way to the open side, I don't know. But that's by the by. Interchangex is back at the table unexpectedly. Can he find a way out? And that's a good shot to start with. Well, Stubb does kick the ball very well. I mean, I've watched him an awful lot over the years, and it does have a reluctance to use the jump cue. He's got one and he can use it, but I don't think he gets an awful lot of practice with it, to be honest with you, because he does kick a ball a lot better than he probably jumps anyway. And you know, give him his dues for that. That's one thing he's always been good at, is finding a way to kick a ball and reading those diamonds. And Interchangex, again, is take your time, breathe a sigh of relief, and hope for a ball and a shot. Now, is this going to be a clunky one, or are they going to open and run? They're opening and running, and again, none of them are in a hurry to get to a pocket. It's dry, and if Stubb can roll this one in, he should be running this rack. The 2's open into the middle. He can go up and down the table for the 3 in the opposite middle. The 4's wide open up top, and the 5's wide open on the right side. So the only snag could be the 6 ball, in that you have to get on it. It's tight past the 9, but it does go. But that's the only sort of glimmer of light, and it's not very bright, I have to say, for Interchangex's chances of getting another go at this rack. Well, he's just got to be careful, and again, just making sure he wasn't running down right into that 9 and 6, because things could go pear-shaped. But this is a tester. You see, that's where he's gone out of line. He's neither here nor there. He's got a tough one to execute, and the other tough part is getting a shot in the 6. And these are the ones he's having to do the recovery shot again. These are the ones that will catch you out eventually in the long run. You just cannot keep digging these out. And he's going to get lucky again. I mean, look at that. I mean, he's trying to play position in the 6. He's failed miserably. He's missed the 5. And poor old Interchangex comes to the table with absolutely no sniff of a hope of getting anything on this 5 ball, because he's literally nailed to the 6. He is completely frozen out here, and he'll do well to get anywhere near this 5 ball and actually hit it, let alone get it safe. And I suppose the only thing not to do is to do anything that's going to move that 6 ball. So Stubb gets out of jail big time in this rack. And ball in hand. Well, he's looking to just run through to get himself as straight as he can on this 6. Or a good line on it anyway. And racks are just beginning to leak away too much now. It's a tall order. And at this stage in a match against a player like Stubb, if you're going to just rely on him falling apart, he's going to have to fall apart big time. But even if he did do it and started making a whole blunder of errors, the ball's still in your court in that you have to deliver. And I think it's way too much of a tall order now for Interchangex. This is just about damage limitation now. It's 12-5. But he can start and do something with this opportunity. Again, the top players in this tournament are going to run this rack, even though the 4 ball's awkward. They're going to find a way to pot the 1, the 2, cut that 3 and have a shot in the 4. And this is exactly the test that Interchangex is going to get from this visit. And again, that is awful. That is incredibly bad that he should do that off that ball there. And now Stubb, with ball in hand, will show Interchangex how it should be done. He's going to leave himself a big distance from this 3 if he doesn't run through. He's running through, which is the right way, just to get in the gap. And now he can probably drop behind the 7, or if he feels he can come just out into the table, I think he can drop around behind the 7 and take the 4 into the middle pocket. He might be able to do that. No, he's been able to hold it and take it long. He's got to draw off this though. And may well, I don't know whether he'll draw into the 6 or try and find a path past it from this angle. Again, you're playing a sort of blind pocket cut and it's easy to send it into the jaws like that, but it's gone in. So here's a test as to whether Stubb's going to dig out the jump stick, with the danger of the cue ball jumping off the table here. He's thinking about it. I think he's going to, he may well do it. Let's see. Yes, we go. Here we go. He's out the jump stick. Well, the match has now been on for an hour, or just short of it. And Stubb's got that completely wrong. Now that's again just what I was talking about earlier on, where Stubb doesn't really get an awful lot of practice with the jump stick. And the problem was it was not easy to find a line there to be able to kick that 5 ball. The 7 ball was in the way, and Stubb's completely missed the object ball and given ball in hand to Interchangex. So this is a bit of a bonus for him, but once again a horrible scratch at the beginning of this rack for Interchangex. Not fully in control of what he's trying to do, not only with those safety shots but with that first shot he had in this rack. Now he needs to watch this middle pocket here. He needs to be careful. Well, again, this is going to test the nerve. You play it instinctively as a 9-baller. You look at it, you see the line and you shoot it. And in it goes. So that's that is a definite bonus there for Interchangex, because he'd lost that rack. And Stubb having to bail out with the unpracticed jump stick. That was his undoing. And Interchangex is getting no luck on the break. It's dry, and once again it's wide open for Stubb, and he's overhit that. That is just barely going to stay up. And he's going to leave this 3 ball at distance. He's just going to focus on the pot. I mean, he can blast this and let the cue ball run. Well, that little brush off the 4's done him no harm. And he's got nothing to do with the cue ball other than make sure he avoids the 6. And that way he'll run down past that middle pocket on the right side. He might want to, I think he might be checking this a wee bit with inside just to hit the rail and make sure he does come down a bit straighter off that rail, but that makes the pot more difficult. That's the problem with this shot, you know, getting that hit point on the 3 ball. And he's got pretty much to where I was talking about. Although the high angle means he might need to come round behind the 9. I don't know whether he can check. He's checking it again to come up the right side and avoid the 9. That's what he's doing. And that's worked out well. I think he's still 13 years old. So this is just a kill shot on this 6 ball. But just got to be on line. Well, he's killed it, but he's killed it to the rail. That just means that he's going to have to let this cue ball run, I think. And this is dangerous because the line that he's got off this 7, he's digging into it. He's digging into it to try and come back across off it, and he's played it well. Well, the only well, the way the match is going, the only thing Interchangex has got to look on at the end of the match is he's got more racks than anybody that Stubbs played so far against him. He's managed to get 6. He's given away at least 4. You know, if he'd taken those racks, he would only be maybe 2 or 3 behind. But he's given away too many chances with poor shots, which is all the encouragement that Stubb needs. I'll have a quick look at the bracket here and see how this shapes up. So if Stubb goes through, he's going to play the winner of Bedhead and LS3 because they play later on today. This is another awkward one. Well, Stubbs obviously missed while I was on the bracket there. Interchangex again has a glimmer of hope here to get this cue ball out into the table. The 7 ball goes past the 8, but he's going to end up again playing this at distance. So this cue ball needs to come out into the table first of all. He needs to be able to get a clean shot on this 7. And well, all you need to do is make sure you've got the line, go right through with the shot, get the cue ball back out into the table, and he's over. See, the thing is he hasn't played that right, because he should have stunned that into the rail and come back. And that way, had he played it the right way, he would have come into the rail and come back this way, rather than just letting it run. You know, he didn't play it with a great deal of confidence. And that's how easily it is to get yourself out of line, when you just don't have that confidence to play that shot properly. He would have never been near blocking himself off there had he played that correctly and dug into it and played the stun to the rail, because he would have had that cue ball under control. He didn't have it under control there, and that's how he lost the rack. Just from one shot to another one, when everyone's looking good and you need to play the right shot to keep that cue ball in control, he let it go, and it just trickled without the control, and that's how you lose it. And I think he's gone now. It's the one thing I keep saying: if you're going to play a shot, or you're going to commit yourself to a shot, then that is exactly what you have to be. You have to be committed and go right through with the shot and play the shot correctly. You know, whether it be the stun, you know, that angle was crying out for that little the half Q-tip below the equator. That shot was like there. Maybe it was a wee bit wider than that, but you need to play the cut with that control sort of draw stun, where it just brings the cue ball deeper into the table and still leaves you the shot. In the end, he sort of cut it, but didn't really have any dig in the cue ball to give himself the control. It's actually more annoying watching somebody do that there. If you gave them a second go at it, they would get the shot right, no problem. You know, if you said have that again and play that again, he would have no problem there. But you know, it's all in the past now. He then hung the one, had a go at the one ball at the start of this rack, and that's it, gone. And Stubb has made the mistake, but he's got away with it. And these shots are so ugly to go for. I mean, if you play it with a bit of helping right to try and get the hit right to go in, the cue ball comes down and you scratch. Because you have to play it, you know, with that little bit of help, or you have to go for the full blown cut, you see, and then it's so difficult to get that point, and your chance is gone. And so, well, it's another one where Stubbs got out of jail. He's made the mistake. He hasn't made that many, but he got away with it by leaving nothing on there for Interchangex. And all it means is it's another rack in the distance for Stubb. And it's only really about damage limitation, just trying to pinch another rack. And it's not a pretty setup here for Interchangex. Played a nice cut there. Now let's have a look at this shot. Now again with this shot, see, that shot was more just a plain stun, just to come off the rail. But it's got it reasonably good on the 5. Now this one, you can go around the table, or you can play this with inside right and try and check it. You might run into the 8, he's checked it, but if you don't get enough juice in it, you're going to hook yourself. You see, I think playing it with inside there was asking too much. You know, playing it with inside to check the cue ball from that range was maybe too much. You were far better to let it run. And that's why you have to, you have to make those decisions and those type of shots. Because if you're going to play it with inside English to check the cue ball, then the one thing you have to do is hit it with enough pace that that cue ball is going to hit the rail and come up to here and open things up for you. But to get to here, there's the problem. That 8 ball. And it's another rack that's come and gone as quickly as that. So Stubbs had no pressure on him at all in this whole match. And again, the misses he's had, which have been fairly few, they're all self-inflicted. It's been nothing that Interchangex has done. And it's now 15-7. And again, an inviting table for Stubb. Now, can he run through and avoid a 9? I think he can. Just off the rail and back out into the table. Now he's just let that go away there. He's just borderline here on this 6 ball, but he's going to be on the 7 no problem. He's just going to drag off it and come down the left side here as we look. Make sure he misses or avoids blocking himself off on the 8. Just make sure he hits it enough. Well, he has just hit it enough. Again, I don't know whether he wants to try and just roll this in dead weight where he's finishing over here to play that 9 into the middle, or whether he wants to go full-blooded. See, he's gone full-blooded, which has brought out the mistake. Is that cue ball going to bounce, and is Interchangex going to have a shot? Yes, he is. So, a chance to get another one back for Interchangex. But again, as I say, that shot that Stubb had there, he had 2 choices. Try and roll it in dead weight, leave the cue ball running over towards the corner, risking the scratch to play that 9 in the middle, or get the cue ball around the angles. But when you start having to move the cue ball, that can bring out the error, it can bring out the miss. Interchangex with a ball in the break, couple of balls. The 4 and the 5 have gone, and he's now hampered over the 8 ball. And again, he's looking for ideas for a safety here, and it has to be said, from where he's sitting, the best he could do would be to just try and miss the 2 like that and push it towards the 9. And once again, if that 1's exposed, Stubbs generally going to go for the pot. Whether he's going to be anywhere near good in the 2 is irrelevant. He's just looking to get the pot. You know, he's run into a position where, you know, he can see enough of the 2. And this This is going to be full-blooded for the cut in the 2 as well, I think, unless he's... Yep, he's definitely going, because he can't see enough of it to punch it up the table. And now he's kicking balls in as well. And he's sitting pretty in the 3. Well, Interchangex was always going to be good enough to pop balls to run a rack, but it's all the in-between stuff that's gone wrong. His safety's let him down. And that's why he's been chasing all through the match. Got that rack in the middle of the match, then got the break and run after it, but hasn't really had any, encouragement to come back into the match by getting consistent on the break. That's what has to work for you. And like I said, he has to look on, he has to rely on Stubb, giving him loads of chances now. If he's going to get to double figures, he's too short of that, but he's well short of racks overall. Stubb just needs 3 more. Well, this is awkward. He's going to have to force this in to get this cue ball moving. And again, he's left himself in no man's land, so he's having to pull off the cut. It might be a glimmer of hope for Interchangex. As he looks as if he's playing the cut rather than the bank. And again, played it well. So, 2 more. And that's a good break. Ball's all rolling. And I'm certain the ball has gone in. The 6 is gone. He's going to have to play the combo. And he's blasted the combo. But the 1 has gone safe. And again, he's going to have another chance at the jump cue if he wants. And he's lining it up. And again, he's had 2 goes with the jump cue tonight and he's failed. That one's bounced off the table. And that again is it's also why he's more than reluctant to use the jump cue if he can help it. Where it's exactly the opposite for the likes of Bill. When Mr. Bill's playing, all of those shots, 99 times out of 100, he's always going to rely on that jump cue to get him out of trouble. And Bill's a lot better at it than Stubb is, because Bill gets an awful lot of practice at it. Because Bill does not, use the diamond system. Bill's more instinctive with the jump cue than he is on relying on picking lines in the table. And meanwhile, Interchangex has a chance. Now this again, you just have to play this with the confidence of the cut rather than worrying about the 9 ball. you're going to have a shot in the 9 ball. It's all about the cut. Well, he might get to 10 yet, but he's going to have to be quick. Just to give the score a wee bit more respectability. He's got the chance for the break, if the break will work for him. Well, the 3 ball was tracking that it might go in, but that's been blocked midway. The break is dry. And Stubb once again comes to the table with a ball on and a chance to run out. Because if he runs off the rail, or stuns off the rail on the left, he's out into the table, into the gap, onto the 2, and he's just going to look to roll right through onto the rail, I think. There's not an awful lot more he can do. If he can get right through, he sees enough of the 3. And he's going to just have to do the same thing with this one. Just roll it straight through. And the further he goes, the further into the table the cue ball goes. And again, the same thing, just a roll through, far enough past the 7. You know, this is simple. This is just taking the lines that you've got and playing the simple shot, because that's all you need to do. And has to have the angle on the 6, which he has done, which is another, well, little roll through off the side rail if he wants. And this 7 ball, he'll probably want to stay top of the 9 ball and not run right through. So he may well just, well, he's going through, but he doesn't want to be stone cold straight like that. He's managed to just come out. So Stubb is 1 away. And again, the break is working. Ball in the break, nudge into the 6, on the 1, and a 3-9 combo to finish the match if he can get the 2 and get up the table far enough. And let's face it, anywhere down here he's playing the 3-9 no problem. So this match is over if he gets the 2. And he's got a good angle, plenty of room on the right side of the table, just to come right up past the middle pocket and seal the deal with a 3-9 for a 19-9 win. And it's the most racks that Stubbs lost so far, but well, he's played the billiard instead. But in the end, he's still way too good for Interchangex, and it's a comfortable win for Stubb, and he's through to round 4 on the bracket. Now the question is though, let's have a look at the stats and see if he's improved his situation, because he had a chance to get right up there into this top 10 for the extra $1,000 V. So if we look at the 9 ball stats and we go to the racks run, I think Stubb was in 12. I think he was tied with Larry, and if we look now, Stubb is now in front. So he's had a good night tonight. He's ended up on the top of the leaderboard. Albinario got there tonight, and Stubb is now in front by 1 rack, and he has got Albinario in 2nd, Cobra in 3rd, Larry's in 4th, Tommy U 5th, Cirrus down in 6th, Hairpig in 7th, VP Mongoose in 8th, Mooncake on 9th, or well, they're tied in 8th, and then Bedhead, Mr. Fox, Hazard, Swiley, Sergaresh and MC Clarkey all on 8. So Stubbs now at the top, although the one thing he's not at the top of, I don't think, is shot percentage. Let's have a look at that. If we look at shot percentage, the top two players are Cobra and Mal. Spectre Dodds in third, and Stubb is down there at 85, as is Albinario. And then there's a fair drop down to Wink at Me on 81, One Pocket Slim on 80, and then you're into the 70s, 79 for Bedhead, 79, well, and the odds, and then MC Clarkey, Cirrus, and Larry's down there at 77, so there is a 10% difference in shot percentage between the top sort of 10, and there's a room for improvement for these guys, but it does show you the difference in what these guys are able to do. So it's a good solid win for Stubb. He's through to the next round to play the winner of LS3 and Bedhead, and I am off to bed, guys. It is almost 2:30 in the morning, and I am heading to get some shut-eye and get up for the first round of the World Snooker Championship at 10 o'clock. So I think he has. I mean, that's the thing about that stat there. You've got to remember that not everybody's played the same amount of matches, and that in theory, somebody from the one-loss side should win it if they're playing to the standard that the likes of Cobra and Mal are playing, but that's looking unlikely now because the one-loss side player has got more matches to play, but he's got less racks to play in each match, so it evens out in the end. But it's down to who's the best at potting balls and potting more than the next person, and at the moment that's Cobra. In terms of racks ran, Stubbs in the front, but he won't be there for long. That will change. And that stat will be interesting to keep an eye on. So I'm off to bed, guys. Thanks for if you're stayed up like me, thanks for staying up, but get to bed. It's well past for bedtime. I am off. I'll bid you good night and see you again later today, hopefully. So take care. I'm out.